Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name's Jasmine, and today is actually a video that was requested by a couple of people who follow me off Instagram and some friends. Today I'm going to talk about how to budget with your income and how you use your paycheck, how to make sure you don't live from paycheck to paycheck. It's kind of a really good practice and a routine if maybe you were never taught how to deal with your finances, how to budget, how to save. I started this budget plan at the very beginning of last year, so January 2020, and I implemented it for one full year. So I did it January to December. So flashback to like 2012. I just moved out of my mom's house, first apartment with my friend in college. It's like my sophomore year. I think I was like maybe 19 or 20. And I had worked jobs before. I'd been working since I graduated high school, but I never had to pay bills. I never was like taught how to pay bills, how to budget your paycheck. At that point in my life, the only thing I was really spending money on was gas to get to campus and, some food if I wanted to eat out of the house. When college rolled around and I moved out and I had to start paying rent and electricity, and my mom made me pay my own phone bill and my car insurance, I knew that I had to pay those things off, obviously, but it really is a skill set to develop a plan for your money. It's like one thing to say in your head, okay, I know I need to pay this bill, so don't spend that much. But it is so easy to overspend, especially if you use a debit card or, God forbid, a credit card, right? If you're using a credit card on a daily basis, it's so easy to just slide and forget that overall number of what's the sum in my bank account. It's hard to keep track of that on a daily basis. And so throughout college, I basically was very irresponsible with my money, and I'll admit that. It came to a point where I dug myself so deep in debt that I had to return to a job that I didn't necessarily enjoy teaching because I couldn't afford my lifestyle anymore. I was dependent upon credit cards. And so at the beginning of last year, I had, I think, 6 credit cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6 credit cards. I owed my mom money. I owed my step-grandmother money for helping out with a little bit of college tuition. And I had a student loan. And so in total, I had over $20,000 I had owed. And maybe this resonates with some of you, but when you owe that much money and you're in debt, it's incredibly taxing, like emotionally on you. You feel like you have this weight you're carrying with you every day because you know that really you don't have a penny to your name. And so my number one goal for last year was to dig myself out of this hole and to be rid of my credit card debt. And after a year of sticking to this program, I have paid off 4 out of the 6 credit cards. I paid my mom off. I paid my step-grandmother off. Out of that $20,000 that I owed, I was able to pay off $13,000. So more than half of it. And definitely, according to this plan, by July of this year, I will have totally paid off all of that money. I was also able to save about $6,000 for personal savings and also for my future wedding that's upcoming in a couple months. And so I know it works. I think I'm gonna do a separate video about how to tackle debt specifically. Kind of like is a 2-part process where the first part is planning out your budget, kind of laying out your financial plan, like what you spend money on, due dates, things like that. So there's like the first part is the plan portion, and then the second part is the debt portion. And so we're gonna focus just on the budget today. I have in front of me a monthly budget sheet. And this is something, again, I created at the beginning of this year just based off my needs. I printed this out. I printed 12 sheets to use as an outline for this year, but I found that by October, November, I started using a digital version instead, just because it saves on paper, obviously. And I think by October, I had gotten into the routine of doing this really well. And so I didn't need to do it by hand anymore. I can just punch in the numbers on a Google Sheet. I will link in my description box for this video, I guess, a link to the digital version. It is a Google Sheet, and within that sheet there is a printable version. So if you want to print some copies for yourself, if you're more of like a handwriting person, you can do that. There's also a digital version where you just plug in some numbers into the cells, and it will even auto sum some of the parts where we will need to calculate by hand. So the digital version is really handy in that sense. So the first thing I do, obviously, it says which month this is. Let's just pretend we're doing this for the first time this year, even though it's already almost the end of January. Let's just go ahead and put January. Okay. And the first thing to start this process is to know how much income, how much money is flowing in every single month. And so for some of us, we might be paid salary, and so that is a fixed number. For some of us, we may have to stop right here and do a little bit of calculating. If you're someone who has a consistent amount of hours every week, maybe that's easy, right? Maybe you get your true 40 hours a week, or 35 to 40, and you know you make sort of an estimate amount. Make sure you go ahead and calculate that here. This sheet is kind of unique because you can see I have a portion for Seth, like a part of this is Seth and a part of this is me. Seth actually never used this throughout the year, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cross him out, and we'll focus on this Jasmine column. And so if you're married, if you have a dual income household and you work with someone through your finances, you can put your partner's name here, your financial partner, whatever, or you can just do this as a single person. It doesn't matter. Let's just say I make $3,000. I put a couple boxes here just in case maybe you get paid like bi-weekly or twice a month. For me, I'm salary, so I get paid once. So I have just one single cell here. Seth's cell was in two because he gets paid bi-weekly, but make sure you total it up. So total, let's say at $3,000 at the beginning of every month. What I'm gonna do is now go over to where you see requisite funds. So requisite funds are things you need to have paid every month in order to survive. They're basically like mandatory bills. So things like rent, electricity, internet, gas, car insurance, maybe your cell phone plan. If you have a phone payment, you can put that down. These are like consistent bills that come every single month, and bills that you must pay. Requisite meaning like vital, required, mandatory bills you must pay. And so I'm just gonna put in some numbers here based off of, my life experience. Obviously these things may look different for you, but for rent, let's just say I pay $350 every month. Let's say for electricity, I pay $25. I actually pay about that for electricity. It's pretty cheap here in Sac. Let's say for internet, I pay $45 a month. Gas, meaning gas propane to fuel my heat. Let's say that I pay $30. Car insurance, I pay like $75 a month. Cellular plan, let's say $45 a month. If you owe a phone, say I must pay $20 a month to pay off my phone. And I do pay for a Spotify membership, which is about $8 a month when I split with my partner. And so these requisite funds, you can change, right? If you're using the digital spreadsheet, you can actually go in and just type over these and label them with whatever mandatory requisite funds are applicable to you. And then what you're going to do is just go ahead and total it here. So I know that out of the $3,000 I make this month, 598 is, I can't touch it. $598 I definitely am going to use towards bills. I'm going to go ahead and move over here. So the system kind of moves in a zigzag motion if you didn't notice. I'm going to move over here and I'm going to bring down my income total, which was, remember, 3,000. And I'm going to subtract my total requisite funds. And we calculated that to be 598. So subtracting that's going to be, please don't make fun of my math skills. So I have 2,402 left over. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and move to this category, which is debt payments. What we're going to put down for debt payments, so if you owe any credit card, if you have credit cards with a minimum amount payments on them, if you have loans, maybe a car loan, this could be a student loan, this could be a personal loan from a family member. These are things that you must pay every month, right? But they're not like vital to live, not to survive. They're not like things like shelter, electricity. And so what you're going to put here for now, you're going to put just the minimum you must pay every month for these loans, credit cards, things like that. And so you can see over here, I had a lot of credit cards and people to pay off. It's going to cross out like the top ones. And let's just say I have 3 credit cards to focus on. I'm going to put CC for some sort of credit card. Maybe on one credit card, the minimum amount I owe is maybe $150 every month. I must pay $150 in order to not be fined a credit card fee. Maybe here I only owe $80 a month, and maybe my student loan is only $50 a month. Okay. This list may look really long for you, may look really short, depending on the amount of debt you're in, really. So let's add this up. 150 plus 130, so that's 280. So now we're going to, again, going back to this sort of zigzag motion, we're going to go back to this side. Now we need to bring down the amount of money we said was for debt funds, which was our leftover here. So you're always going to bring down this number. So now we know that for debt funds, I have 2,402, and it looks like I only have to pay off 280, like minimum amount. And to do the math here, okay, I still have a good amount of money left over, 2,122. And we're going to continue down this sheet in the zigzag motion. The next category is called your sinking funds, and basically this is where you start to create categories for anything else you regularly spend money on in a month. And so these might be things like gas for your car, just regular spending money from here to there for yourself, like shopping, maybe groceries, money for dining out, traveling, essential miscellaneous. These are all going to change according to what you spend money on in your life. And so you might want to take a second right here to like pause the video and to brainstorm what sort of categories best describe what you spend money on. You may change these categories over time. I found that, through this 12 months of using this program, maybe in like month 5, I stopped really putting money aside for emergency because I never ever used that money. So I ended up crossing off this category, and then that money I used for this emergency fund, I just went ahead and put it in my wedding fund. And so you'll see what works out for you. You'll see if you need to create a new category or even possibly put more money in a category. This is kind of trial and error, but let me emphasize that it does not take away from being wrong right now. Like, planning this out will still help you, even though maybe later in time you find that your categories change. So don't focus on that too much. And now you're going to start to estimate how much money you spend for this month of January, how much you're going to spend for all of these sinking fund categories. And I really, really advise you to be realistic. If you know you drive your car out a lot, but you only want to spend $50 on gas, don't put $50. Be true to your wallet. Put down what you actually spend money on and be realistic, okay? So I'm just going to put some numbers down here. And you'll find this is where the bulk of your money goes to, which is funny, right? Like, you would think the most of your money would go to what's necessary and crucial, but actually the majority of what we spend our money are just on things we like. Yeah, so you notice that I put wedding fund here. You might put some savings down here too. So if you have like a savings account, or even like somewhere in your house where you store like leftover cash, you might put that on here too, if it is something that you're prioritizing to budget your money on for the month. And then again, you're going to add this all up. I have no idea what this comes out to be. Okay, I think this comes out to $780. Okay, back to that zigzag pattern. We're going to bring this $780 over here. It was our total sinking funds. We have to spend $780. And we know that for our sinking funds, our money up here was $2,122. And then we are going to subtract. This is going to be hard for me. Okay, so you know that at the end of the month of January, after you pay your requisite funds, you're all good with your bills, you paid off the minimum amount for your debt payments, and you've allocated your money for your sinking fund categories, you're gonna have this left over for extra funds. So now I have this money left over, and if your goal is to get out of debt and pay off debt or loans, whatever it may be, this money is going to go back up to the debt payment category, and you are just going to allocate your funds, okay? So you're going to say, maybe I want to have like 300 out of this left in my bank for safety. I do recommend that you don't leave yourself with like $0 after this. You don't want to like break even. You definitely want to have a little bit of cushion left over in your bank just in case. So let's say I'm only going to take 1,000 of this dollars, right? And spend it through here, right? Maybe I'm just going to divide it by 3. Maybe I'm going to spend 300 of this over here, 300 of this over here, and 300 of this over here, so that I can pay off these credit cards or these loans or these people as fast as possible, right? The most important part of this process is, of course, to stay true to it. And there's a way how I did that. For the sinking funds, what I did was pull out physical cash, and I worked with that cash every month. I have a little folding accordion envelope thing, and I had tabs on them, and each tab I labeled with these categories. Here it is. So I have all these tabs with the different categories of my sinking funds. So you'll see I have a tab for groceries, dining out, right? Some people use the envelope system. That's fine. I do have like an envelope here from the bank. You can get, there's some people who actually buy some like really nice, cute looking envelopes. If you need that visual aesthetic, you do you. I just needed something to hold all my money. And what I really like about this accordion method is instead of having so many envelopes that you have to keep track of, I just have this one. But the pulling out cash for this process is like truly key. Truly key to getting yourself disciplined to sticking with your plan. Trust me, if you have a debit card and you put down that you're only going to spend $100 every month for yourself, right? Spending is $100. You're not going to remember that every time you go out and you have your debit card. You're going to see something in the store, you're thinking it's cool, and you're just going to swipe. You're not going to stick to your plan, okay? Following this plan does require you to have discipline in the sense where like you have to pull out the cash. You see the cash in your hand, right? Like if I see $100 in cash, right? It's more visceral for me to know that, oh, if I take out a $20 bill out of that 100, I'm only going to have this much left for the month for myself. It's a very real experience. I will say that after 6 months of implementing this plan with the physical cash, I got used to it and I didn't need to pull out cash anymore. At one point, I stopped using this. I haven't used this for a while because I've gotten so used to this process that I know in my mind, like I have that financial intuition, if you could call it that, of how much I would spend for myself. If you're starting this program for the first time, pull out cash. Trust me, it is so nice. And what's also nice is if you have any of that cash left over, you can like take it and put it into a jar and just see how much money you accidentally save each month, right? Sometimes that really builds. Again, like for this emergency category, I wasn't spending money. Even though I was pulling out $50 every month on it, I would never spend it. And so that $50 would go in a jar. And then $50 every month is pretty nice little side savings. And then I just ended up depositing it all into my savings. I hope that this helps. I hope it wasn't too confusing because there were a lot of people who asked for this video. Debt is interesting because using credit cards and having like a bad credit score, it's kind of this like airy thing. Like it's just a number on a paper. You don't really see how it affects you in real life, but it does, right? Whether you like the credit card system or not, or the fact that we have to build our credit to establish financial credibility, right? To buy a house, to get a car loan, whether you like that system or not, like I don't like it, that is the society we function in. This is how our country has decided we can trust people with their money and to loan out money. And so taking charge of your debt instead of paying off the minimum portion like I was for so many years, it is so like relieving and freeing. It's so freeing, I'll say that. Like I can't believe at the end of this year I truly paid off $13,000. It is crazy. At the beginning of this year, my credit score was in the 500s, and last year it hit 805. I beat my mom's credit score, which was crazy, but I had jumped 300 points in my credit score from following this plan, and in doing so also saved money. And I know that in the future, like when Seth and I want to take out a loan to build our house, I know that's going to be an option for us because I took these steps now to make sure that I'm in a healthy place financially for my future. And so that's something to take into consideration too, right? No one's going to remind you to pay off your debt. You're just going to get a little, text or email to pay off the minimum amount, and you're going to keep paying off the minimum amount your whole life unless you take charge like this. So, yeah, I hope that helps out. I will be making a part 2 with how to tackle the debt specifically. It probably seems easy, like, oh, you just pay it off here. There's a system. There's a suave system that allows you to pay it off quickly, according to your APR percentage, all that stuff, talk about later. But I hope this helps. And yeah, it's a really nice day. I'm going to enjoy the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great day. Yeah, peace and one love to you. Bye.